If anxiety needs one thing from us, it's usually that it needs to be able to trust you, the conscious, less emotional person, can be in the driver's seat, and the anxiety doesn't have to necessarily always push the avoidance mode or try to hide out mode. And it can actually lean back a little bit and see, okay, I guess we are safe. And when you are giving into the anxiety and feeling like, well, the anxiety is more powerful, in order for me to feel better, I just need to do all the wrong things just to get the short-term relief, you're never going to build this trust. The anxiety feels just reinforced in its belief that, well, I guess the smallest version of ourselves, the tightest comfort zone that we can exist in, is probably the only way to make it through another day. And that, again, doesn't make you a better version of yourself. Now, it can also, in an extreme way, make you act against your value. I mean, we heard these stories, right, where people become more and more anxious and afraid of the other, the immigrants, the people of a different color of the skin, the transsexuals, and so on. And then they are acting in such extreme self-defensive ways that even it happened that people were ringing at the wrong doorbell and got shot because an anxious older person felt like there is a burglar and they have a right basically to kill whoever wants to break in and enter. I mean, this feeling that we are losing our decency, that we are losing our core values of respecting others and letting others live and be just because we're anxious. That is certainly something we have to very much be afraid of, because it leads to another way of us becoming a lesser being, which is that we let ourselves be manipulated. And we know how social media and the media in general can just use fear and anxiety to push you into believing something that makes you act in certain ways or support a certain politician. And those things often happen because we feel like, well, that person or that direction is probably safer. This is where anxiety pushes you to the brink of just living for survival, where in your mind you believe that pretty much everything is out there to get you, and there's only a few ones that can really rescue you and keep you safe. And those few ones that want your power, that want your vote, that want your support, that want your money, they're going to take advantage of you, and they're going to feed you more and more with all these manipulative messages that only create more anxiety. And you are just going down that slippery slope. And I tell you, I've seen this so many times with my clients that told me that their anxiety and the isolation because of the anxiety made them look for some relief, and they naturally got drawn into something that made them even more confirmed. And then, lo and behold, they felt even more isolated and disconnected from others. And that is something where, when we are anxious, it's almost like we can lose the compass, the inner compass of ourselves. And it's so important to realize, well, who I am is not fundamentally a person who is afraid of other human beings, or who I am is actually someone who has empathy and wants to rather help others than fight others or avoid others. And I do believe that most of us are this way. I do believe there is some real goodness and decency in all of us, but we cannot let our sight get taken away from that, because self-defense is more important than, again, being of service or showing up as your authentic true self. And then there is, of course, when we are in, this anxiety mode, that we sometimes look for others to give us comfort and a sense of belonging or approval. And that is when we are sliding right into feeling that we have to please them, that we have to somehow do whatever their expectations are, that we have to bend over backwards. And that was certainly my way of compensating for anxiety. I mean, I remember when I was dealing with a lot of social anxiety, And it was like in my early teenage times where the girls were not necessarily interested, and I wanted to belong to a group of some guys that had this weekly or bi-weekly cooking cook-off at their houses, and I was so needy, and I was so alone, and I was so scared that I was willing to do whatever they asked me to do. And since kids can be kind of cruel, they came up with this game where they said, well, you can join us for our cook-offs, but you have to reach a certain level of points in order to be invited. And let's say this were 20 points. And so they could say, well, you're going to carry my school bag, or you're going to bring me, hot chocolate, and then you get 5 points. And whatever I did that didn't please them, the points were taken away. I mean, it was a manipulation and a cruel game that they had fun with, and I certainly hated it. And even though I really wanted to belong and I enjoyed the cook-offs, every time this fear of not being invited again only increased this anxiety. And it wasn't until one day I decided, you know what, I don't want to go to these cook-offs anymore. It's not worth it. It's too painful to always have to please others. Well, guess what? Then I got always the invitation without any point system. And but at some point, I just didn't want to go anymore because I really felt like that the injustice of not treating me like an equal, but trying to just, get some kind of a enjoyment out of torturing me was really not what I wanted to engage in. And it is an interesting thing to see how far we are willing to go in order to get other people's approval. I know a lot of people that have been anxious that also didn't want to be seen as less than or as weak because of their anxiety. So they made up stories and blatantly lied of how great they are and how they had it all together. And when in fact they were actually seeing themselves more like wounded little children, in a corner, being too scared to really go out into the world. But because their fear of being found out was so great, they basically consistently lived in a lie. And again, this is another way for us to see, wow, anxiety can really diminish ourselves and make us again just lesser, and in many ways also more dysfunctional versions of ourselves. How do you know if anxiety gets the best of you, if you're kind of more and more disconnecting from your values or disconnecting from your truth? It is really about observing every day what you're doing in response to the anxiety. What helps with this observation is also that you realize, well, the anxiety is an aspect of me, but it's not all of what I am or what I do. I can actually see that I have a choice. As we said at the beginning, I can choose to open up and be empathetic and help a friend, and may actually feel better because of it than just to go in instant relief by avoiding the situation. I can choose to believe more in the power of love and the power of gratitude and appreciation than the power of self-defense or trying to avoid hurt or any kind of discomfort at all cost. Let your anxiety be your responsibility. Don't ignore your anxiety. Don't self-medicate and just try to somehow manage or just cope with whatever is going on inside of you. Take it serious. But at the same time, don't let your anxiety take away who you really are, and let you basically just you know act and show up in the world as that more selfish and more defensive and more isolated version of yourself, because that is certainly not what the anxiety is intending to do, because anxiety is intending to keep you safe. That's really what anxiety is about. It just doesn't know really how to keep you safe, other than that, what you may have done already since you were little. But that's not how you need to live now. That's not what you're capable of now. And that's certainly not what your anxiety needs now. Your anxiety needs your compassion and needs your awareness, but it also, as I said before, needs you to step up with the intention, not just to manage the anxiety, but with the intention to heal whatever is the root of the anxiety, whatever unresolved wound there is still inside of you because you're still anxious, and then showing up as that best version of yourself with the intention to more and more become the opposite of what you thought is capable for you, to become of service, to become someone who is reaching out and wanting to make a contribution, to be someone who has empathy for others, and especially for those that may be more judgmental or critical or self-defensive, and realizing their behavior says everything out about them and nothing about you. And just knowing the anxiety can be the catalyst for you to grow into the most empowered version of yourself. And that is what I have been specializing in, and that is what I can offer you. So continue to watch my podcast, continue to go to my website and look for free tools, and also reach out if you really want to have one-on-one coaching, because I can certainly lead you from anxiety to that empowered version of yourself. Hi, Dr. Friedemann here. Thank you for tuning into my YouTube channel. If you're interested in learning more about fear and anxiety, here you'll find guided meditations, webinars, and interviews with some of the most renowned experts in the field of empowerment. Delve into the over 230 videos and more to come every week.